Move to approve payroll and vendor claims.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ott,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Groats,
Yes.
and Obermeyer.
Yes. Okay, we've got, we don't have, the public hearing is not till 9, so we got 10 minutes. Gary, do you think you can wrap yours up in 10 minutes time?
Oh, yeah.
9 minutes time? Morning, Gary.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Joe. I'm Gary Peterson, Emergency Management Director for Seward and York Counties. So, in order to be eligible for hazard mitigation projects, we have to have an approved hazard mitigation plan. And right now, FEMA hasn't totally approved it yet. They sent back some revisions, and the majority of those just had to do with some additional wording that they wanted in there. One was for the planning process. They wanted to include something that showed who was all involved in the planning process, a little more detailed. And then also the underserved populations. Those were basically the only two that really concerned would fall underneath the county's portion of this plan. The rest of them were more the cities and villages within the two counties that they didn't identify some mitigation projects that is required. Because if you don't, they changed it so now if you don't identify projects within the hazard mitigation plan, then there's no sense in applying for them because they're not going to be approved. So they have to be identified within the plan. And that doesn't mean once this is approved that you can't add projects. You know, it's an ongoing document, so you can always add them. But it was just easier now. We went through that planning process where there was projects identified, and so I think we're good. We can approve it now, even though we don't have FEMA approval. If something major changes, which I doubt is going to happen because they've already went through the review process the first time and identified those small things that need to be updated. So.
Okay. Any questions of Gary this morning? And this is by, do we have?
We have, it is
Yeah,
by resolution.
By resolution.
By resolution, yes.
Okay.
That's the
You-
original, that's.
Okay, that's why there's two of them there.
Yes.
And once we get FEMA approval, then we'll be eligible for the hazard mitigation projects as well as the cities and villages. It's usually a 75%, 25% local cost share. And I think that was one thing in there, some of the communities didn't identify where that 25% was going to come from. If we apply for a project as a county, then we'll have to do a letter stating that we'll come up with that 25% of that project. And this plan is through it's the Upper Big Blue NRD. They're kind of they're the go-between, they're kind of fiscal agent, but it's Upper Big Blue NRD, Seward County, York County, and Hamilton County are all involved in this plan. It makes it a lot cheaper when you go to hire a company to do the plan, and that's what we did. We got a grant that paid for 75% of the process, and JEO was the consultant group that put the plan together. So.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. Any other questions? This is something we do,
Every 5 years.
5
it has to
years.
be done.
okay. Okay. And this is by resolution.
Motion to adopt a resolution to approve hazard mitigation plan.
Thank you, Daniel.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Groats,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Ott,
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes. We'll get it signed, then you can pick it up at Mary's.
Yeah, I just need a copy. So
Okay.
you can-
Can I email it to you?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. I'm gonna put that with this here. Okay, we've got 5 minutes before the public hearing. Laura, would you like to come up and let's just get kind of an overview of where the project's at, kind of what we're doing, and then at 9, we'll stop and open up public hearing. If anybody wants to comment at that time, they can, and then we'll proceed from there. So we'll deal with that first, if that's all right with you.
Yes, that's great,
So-
thank you. And Laura McDougall, Four Corners Health Department Director. So we've seen some really great progress with our project, our renovation project. We're doing this in 2 phases, and phase 1 has been completed. So we have our east wing, or excuse me, our south wing is, I'm directionally challenged.
Okay.
Our south wing has been completed now, and I would encourage anybody who'd like to stop in and see it to please come by. It's been refurbished, and right now they've gutted the center section of our building, and it is full of termites, and it had all of our sections both of the sections we're renovating were full of termites, so we've actually had to put joists or support beams in to hold the ceiling up while we're getting new walls built and load-bearing beams put in. So there's just a lot of problems. We've had electrical issues, and to the point where it really wasn't safe, but we're getting that fixed now. So it's a very needed project. We're putting 9 of our 11 furnaces are being replaced. They were, some were not functioning, and some were very old, and we were advised to replace them. So as we started this project, we had a certain amount of funding that we had secured, and the reason that we're going to be this public hearing is we had to do some cost cutting. The prices rose a lot during the last few years, and what we thought would cover all the building repairs didn't go as far as we wanted. At the last, right around Thanksgiving, we had a call from the Department of Economic Development. They had some excess funds left over from other projects that had been completed, and they knew we were shovel ready to be able to use those funds for our project to complete the project, and allowing us not to dip into our reserves or take on debt to complete projects. So they asked us if we would submit a proposal to them for what we still needed on our renovation, and we quickly did that. We were very happy to have that offer, and I think that so some of the things that we're able to do with those excess funds is it's going to allow us to cover some things that we did not have, we were going to have to dip into our reserves to do. So in terms of the amendment, it's going to allow us to replace a couple more furnaces, the HVAC systems, and then we ran into some problems. We were trying to cut some corners on our front ramp and entrance, and so it's going to help us to have basically what we need to actually complete the front ramp and accessible entrance with the doors as well, and not have to reuse old materials. So it should be more energy efficient and everything with that. We also have some bathroom remodel expenses that weren't covered that we didn't have funding for, so to make our bathrooms ADA compliant and have enough restrooms in our facility for the number of people that are there. So we had to do that. We also are going to be able to do some soffit repair, exterior weatherproofing, repair of termite damage, light safety to adhere to the fire code, improvements, some electrical as well. We found there was a real snarl of live wires above our existing west wing on our department that has been fixed and pulled out of there, so we were really happy to know that it's safer now for everyone We need to replace some of our lights. We have a lot of old ballasts that keep going out. So we'll be able to replace some lights and windows as well that we weren't able to do before. So that will, we anticipate with these items that for this amendment, this will be able to be completed, most of it before June, but possibly a little bit into after June, but it should be done definitely by fall, December timeframe. Also included, I want to say, was we also put in here, if the money stretches far enough, we might even buy some paint for the West Wing and replace some of our 1960s carpet. So if the money stretches far enough, we'll see. So I guess any questions about what the process has been and what we're doing?
Well, it's been an interesting process, obviously, and this adds to it. Because the original $355,000 that we had approved at one time, supposedly had to be spent down like in 6 months, which was ridiculous. It never, obviously, didn't pan out. And by this agreement, it is till the end of this year, end of 2025, that it needs to be done. So for the board, it will extend, into another budget year, more than likely, which means just, that those federal funds that have funneled down in are audit, we got to keep track of all that. So that is just something that we'll have to do. And with it being $750,000 now instead of the $355, just a little bit, even though we've kind of agreed to use the larger sums to bill us, and that way we don't have all these nickel and dime claims coming through. There will be just a little bit more work to correspond through the clerk's office, but it should be doable because it's a good project, and it should take us for, let's hope, for many years, into the future.
Yes, hopefully the next renovation, you will see a whole different director here. So I'm hoping this is good for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
So
it is 9 o'clock, or just shortly after. So at this point in time, and you don't have to run away if you don't want to from there, we will open it up to public hearing, which the public hearing was, in this case, did it ever make the newspaper?
No.
It never made the newspaper because of it being down and because of time limits. And so we had been in touch with Send to make sure we were doing it right, and it was posted in three places: our hallway, and the library.
The City of York bulletin board, our bulletin board here, the library, and the post office.
So it was posted right, and then we have documentation of what and why we had to do it that way. Open meetings law does allow us to do that, as we learned last Friday, that in the event of publications being down, we can do things that way. So that was taken care of. So once again, we'll open the public hearing for anybody to come and testify in favor or not of this project. And so the project, if somebody wants to come forward, they sure can, but the project itself has been going on for...
I started applying for funds back in 2017. So, but we were able to start to receive notices of funding in about, I think we really got going about 2022.
Okay.
But the procurement process itself, just to comply with all of the regulations that we needed to, probably took a year and a half.
And then you talk about, coming up and visiting. Is the main entrance, that, as we all knew, the York Medical Clinic main entrance was to be the southwest corner of the building. Is that still the main entrance, or is there another? You got his head shaking in the back there. No, it is not.
Yeah, so the street that runs next to Charlie's U-Save, while we are renovating that middle section of the building, the street entrance will be our main entrance. But once June comes along and we're done with phase 2, it will return, the main entrance will return to the customary traditional entrance that was present during the York Medical Clinic.
So when somebody comes in that other entrance now? Is there somebody there to guide
Yes.
them whichever way they want? Or you just yell down the hallway?
Well, actually, it's interesting, and in the cold, it's especially interesting. We cannot even pass through the middle section of our building right now. So there's just contractors in there hammering away. We do have the desk, the nurse's station of the temporary entrance now is manned at all times. So we have to actually go out and around to see the other half of our, to visit with the staff on the other half of the building or have meetings and things, so.
Okay. Well, it is 9:05 and nobody has came forward, so at this point in time, we will close the public hearing and we can continue to go back and forth with Laura if you want. If this is this a resolution, Mary? Apologies.
Yes,
Just regular.
that's, it's not a resolution, it's
Just the amendment to the agreement?
Correct.
Okay, so just a motion to amend
I have a
And then
question.
agreement. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Leroy.
marked.
Was most of the increase in the cost, the furnaces and the termites?
You know, it was all the building materials were expensive. I mean,
termites.
lumber, all of it, ended up doors, definitely furnaces, concrete, you know. And we ended up also having our sanitary sewer in the south wing was collapsed. And so we had to jackhammer the whole floor of the south wing and replace the sanitary sewer. It's on slab construction and it had collapsed, so that was expensive as well. So it was nickel, it was lots of things, lots and lots of things.
Well, and as Laura said too, you know, serving on the board, we had decided to go in and take some reserves and make sure certain parts of the project got done, and now that will not need to take place, which is kind of nice, you know. Not often you find excess money.
Right.
And it's not often people come around with that, you know, handing it out too, so.
And I feel like, I mean, it was really validating for us because we had worked so hard and had to do such we did so much work on that front end to try to have that relationship with DED so they understood what we were doing, and I think it really paid off.
Good.
Any other questions? Okay. What's your feelings?
Motion to approve amendment with the, how do you want to word it?
I would go with what's stated there, the CDBG.
There you go. CDBG
That's
20.
a tough one, isn't
It
it?
is. Say that fast and you get all tangled up. EMCV 014 agreement.
Thank you, Daniel.
Second.
Thank you, Leroy. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes. Let the other spending begin, huh?
And thank you so much for assisting our health department in helping be that pass-through for the money and making this be possible.
Right.
Well, it is very nice to have it here, you know, being, you know, we're one of 4 counties, being kind of selfish, we like to have it here, and so it's just a good fit. Next up, we need to reappoint our doctor on the board, discuss and act on reappointing Dr. Jillian Fickenshire to the Four Corners Health Board for a 2-year term, and that 2-year term runs from?
It's a 3-year.
It's a 3-year?
term. Yes,
Okay.
I wanted to make sure, yeah. Things had, before I became director, the terms, the staggers had been lost in all of the appointments for all the members of the board. So in 2022, 23, our board decided to try to reinstitute the staggers so that not everybody goes off the board at the same time. So we reinstituted a stagger. So Dr. Fickenshire had served a 2-year term and in this last term, so now she's eligible for a 3-year term, as are all of the board members once the stagger is reinstituted.
So the term is from, is the start date the first of the year, or is it
Yes,
today?
The first of 25.
Okay, so it'll be 25, 26, 27. We'll be
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Terms of service, okay. And any other questions? Dr. Fickenshire is our MD.
Right,
We also have a dentist.
yes. And then we have 2 members serving from each county. Commissioner Overmeyer is one of we have from every county 1 commissioner or supervisor from the board is appointed to our board. And then there's a spirited member appointed for also from each county by the county board. So that would be Jim Ulrich at the hospital. Has been appointed by this board, who's serving his term.
And so the 3-year term, is there term limits?
No. No
Can
term
go
limits.
on.
Yeah, it's all at the leisure of the county boards to appoint people to terms on our board. The 2 members, the commissioner and spirited member from each county, are solely the responsibility of each county to be appointed, but the doctor and dentist have to actually be approved by a majority of the 4 counties to serve a term. So 3 of the counties today are actually, it's on the agenda to approve Dr. Fickenshire.
Okay.
And she wanted to do this?
Yes.
She agreed?
Yes,
Okay.
and to give a little background too, yes, she did. She's actually our board president served on our board. She has a master's in public health as well as an MD, which she has really great background into what we're trying to do and a she brings a lot of positive support in terms of helping us in decision making, and she also lends her name to our department in order that we can bill for certain things, which is a very important part of what she does. So if we want to, it's very fundamental that we're able to sustain our programs that we offer through Four Corners. And if we can bill for services to insurance or Medicaid, it helps us to stretch our funding and offer those services and keep them sustainable. And she is credentialed with our health department. It's very hard to get people credentialed. I mean, it takes a lot of time and funds to even get somebody credentialed to be able to bill for services. So she is someone who, and in our childhood immunizations that we offer, she's spent a lot of time helping us navigate that process. And so when we do give immunizations or do certain medical, if we can bill for them, then she is our credentialed, licensed person that we can bill under because she's our board physician, if that makes sense.
Can you give the board an example of what would be a billable service?
Immunizations. Childhood, so we do vaccines for children, and we're able to bill for the administration fee for the vaccines for children. We cannot bill for vaccine, but we can bill. So it just helps us stretch our services to reach out. Also, we're hoping to be able to do some billing for doing lead testing, childhood capillary blood testing. And we have some other things too that are kind of on the cusp are in the works that we hope we can possibly do some billing for some things that are coming down the pike.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions? What's your feelings?
I move that we reappoint Dr. Jillian Fickenshire to the Four Corners Board for a term of 3 years.
Thank you, Leroy.
Second that.
Thank you, Joe. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ott,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Groves.
Yes.
Overmeyer.
Yes. I'll give you, I mean, you've only had that seat for 20 minutes now, that ain't too bad. But, through the conversation we had at another meeting, I'll give you just a little bit of time if you want to talk about the possible cuts coming through this legislation to your department?
Yes, thank
Ask
you.
about LBs.
So LB 261 is, and this will actually be on our Board of Health agenda as well, next Tuesday. But the proposed budget that is LB 261, cuts $4.5 million to the local health departments.
Statewide?
Yes, and for Four Corners, that's $207,000 of our infrastructure foundational funding from the state. And that also means to us, it is 42% of our foundational funding will be cut. And to say that is, it's definitely going to affect our department if that part of the budget is kept in there, retained. We are right now looking at how that might affect us, but it will definitely affect our programs, and our foundational funding props up many of our services that we offer and programs that we offer. And so trying to learn to do what we can do with less. There will definitely be services that are key that we offer that we're going to have to look at to see if we can sustain those. And across the state, all the health departments are feeling that. So we're definitely asking for, as much support as we can to keep that $4.5 million in the budget, and that it'd be retained in the budget.
Has LB 261 had a hearing date
It's coming.
upcoming?
Yes, it's in March, and so if anybody is interested in helping to help, or interested in helping us, or writing a note to the Appropriations
Okay.
Committee, please visit with me. I can get y'all hooked up.
It's in the Appropriation Committee is where,
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's part of they're going to be having hearings on it, that appropriations bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. Thought I'd give you a minute to talk
Thank
about
you.
that.
Yeah,
You did
yeah.
more. Okay, I think we're good then. We got your amendment passed, and we got your
Yes.
deal, and we
Thank
do have a Four Corners board meeting next Tuesday, and that will actually be in the basement of our
And
courthouse.
if I might also add one other thing, one of the really important things that we're going to be able to help with in York County is, I did travel out to Leesburg, Virginia with Harry, and so we're also neck deep in that project. So we're happy to do that. With work together with York County on those projects as well, to help it see it to fruition and help it be successful. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we will get to discuss the broadband bridge program with Glenwood. I believe they dropped off a couple things. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Yep, I think you know the drill. You've been here a few times.
Yes, Jennifer Raymond, Director of Business Development.
Aaron Wesco, Network Engineering Manager.
And again, I'd like to start out with congratulations, I think, between the county of York and Glenwood as well. Quick synopsis of, again, we applied for the 2024 Nebraska Broadband Bridge Grant back in, the application was due in July of 2024. We did actually just learn on January 14th that our award was successful, our application was successful, and so forth. So again, this will allow 53 locations within rural York County, which is 34 miles of buried fiber that we will be able to get started to this spring. The reason we kind of held off not coming right away after we learned of our award and so forth, Glenwood thus far now, we were actually successful for all 4 of our grant applications that we did submit, but our operations team then put all of the projects out for bid. We then did receive those back by the 7th of February. So it does sound like now for York County, we are going to be going with Alpha Construction, which is out of Kearney, Nebraska. So I wanted to announce that. In regards to a timeline, we are looking actually, we still need to finalize a contract with them, which will be here within the next couple of weeks. But the actual timeline for this particular project, we would like to have plows in the ground by April. Obviously, Aaron will work with the county in regards to all the permits and so forth to allow for that. But again, plows in the ground by April. Actually then starting to hook people up mid to late July already. It's kind of the timeline that we are looking at.
Okay,
Again, just as a reminder, the total grant that was awarded for this project was from the Nebraska Public Service Commission is $981,961.98. The overall project expense is $1,402,802.83. So with that, I did include the map. Again, it actually contains the new area that we were just successful in, which is again those green lines with all the different numbers, which is connected to those red lines are the existing fiber that is in place from the previous year's Nebraska Broadband Bridge application. That actual project was also 53 locations, as a reminder. So very excited in regards to that. Something a little bit, again, different from that previous application we submitted. We worked with the county on the second one, in which, again, we were fortunate that the county agreed to commit $400,000 towards the application and so forth. So I did provide a little, I don't want to say contract, but a form, I guess an agreement that we have utilized in the past years with other counties in regards to a little protection of, I guess, stating what our responsibility as the provider is, and then also then a little protection and the responsibility for the county itself, that again, if we do not follow through with what we're saying we are going to do, the county again does have the right to claw back any funds that they might have extended at that time. The installment plan that we have listed here is the exact installment plan that we have through the Nebraska Public Service Commission. So again, we actually already received 1/4 of the award upon announcement. I guess we're at a point where, again, we're not looking to start until April, so again, not really worried with that. But again, then we get another quarter here in 9 months, September, and then the following 1/2 or whatever will be at the completion of the project itself. Again, when we say completion then, again, that once the network is in place, we get customers on it and so forth, we also are responsible in regards to providing speed tests and so forth for a certain percentage of the customers we have in service. We have to do that several times throughout the next couple of years, and provide that data to the Nebraska Public Service Commission to ensure that we are now providing the speeds that are required of this project. The required speeds are 100 by 100 meg. However, again, our slowest speed is a 300 meg package. We have a 500 meg package, a 700 meg package, all the way up to a gig. But we're actually putting now, the equipment we're utilizing will even allow up to 2 gig to the end user if necessary. We're definitely, it definitely is being built and constructed to allow for the future needs as those continue to grow in the broadband area. Any questions?
the timeline, what you just mentioned about have it start and hopefully start to hook customers up in July. But yet you don't want the second payment till September sometime. I mean, is that aligned with that?
Yeah, it aligns, because again, as we're hooking people up, again, there's an expense, we need to keep track of our expenses as well, because we'll turn those into the commission. So again, yeah, we're in line in regards to that. So,
And as we talked briefly before the meeting, you know, obviously we'll pay off invoice.
Correct.
Once the
Yes.
invoices are,
Yep.
you know, brought to us, and as long as they align with this, that shouldn't be any problem. Do we have any idea, any estimation? Is it July 14th of 2020, do you think that's the last, or will it?
We are required to have this project completed within 18 months of being awarded the grant.
Okay.
And that is the date of July 14th.
The last payment will come probably before that.
It'll come
one.
before that,
Okay.
yeah. We, again, if all goes as planned, again, we always have, you never know what the weather and so forth. We shouldn't have any issues in regards to the inventory or any of the fiber and so forth. So weather's pretty much the only thing that's going to prevent us from not getting completion in regards to our desired time frame. However, again, we still have that testing period, so even though we start having people signed up, we're probably not going to do any testing until the end of the year or the first of the next. We're going to continue to get as many people signed up as possible, because again, there is an expense to put drops to homes and so forth. So again, we wanted to ensure that we're able to encapsulate those into our reimbursement for the grant. It costs approximately anywhere from 2,000, I would say on average 2,000.
Yeah,
In
$2,000
the
per
rural,
home.
yeah.
Depends on the
So-
size of driveway. Some people like those half-mile driveways.
Yeah.
Those are a little bit
Yeah.
more expensive than.
So that even though, again, the official project or the network will be in place, up and running, we'll kind of slow off and get into it, again, just to ensure that we can get as much reimbursement for the expenses and so forth.
So when you come up to an individual acreage, wherever, and to get to the house, do you utilize more boring? I mean, especially if they've got a yard with sprinklers and different things like that.
Depends on the situation. We have, we work with a plow company that does a pretty good job when they do have sprinklers. It seems like it's kind of 50-50 depending on the situation, if we bore with sprinklers or not. But anything that would be hit, or we fix it anyway ourselves, but it just kind of depends on the situation.
And is that at the homeowner's expense, or is that's at the installer's
No,
expense?
there's no expense for the end user.
Okay.
So, yeah. And
Dan?
again, I've just got a copy, a paper copy of this, but again, I will send an electronic copy of this agreement to Mary, if she would like, if she needs to disperse it to either one of you. But again, really encourage the county attorney to take a look at it as well, just to ensure, you know, if there's any suggested changes and so forth. That's why I didn't bring anything signed, just knowing that we want everybody to be on the same page in regards to the agreement.
I was just gonna touch base on the, as you're plowing by homes, are you, if they've signed up, then you're making that connection?
Yep.
Or how does that?
Yep.
And then,
It's as they sign up,
Sure.
we'll take a drop to their house.
sure,
Yeah.
yep,
And even after, I mean, if it's after the allotted time, we set like a pedestal or a handhole or something on the property line that if 3 years down the road, they
They
decide to
wanna-
go with Glenwood, then we'll go to that house. So,
Exactly, yeah. And we will begin the communication process with the end user. Once we begin finalize the contract, a little bit closer to April, we will start sending out letters. We'll even do door hangers to start making people aware when they see this company in the area, what they're doing, working on behalf of Glenwood and so forth. So we do like to communicate as much as possible so everybody's aware of what's going on in their areas. So,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Joe. Okay, as your, contracts come in to plow,
Mhm.
are they notifying the, highway superintendent that they're gonna be in this area and?
Yep, so we work with Harvey pretty good on making sure, they usually come out and we'll go a mile ahead of us and kind of move the gravel over. We plow, and then they would come back in and put the
Sure.
gravel over, so make sure you kind of don't see where we were.
Right.
And make sure everything's cleaned up. Yep.
and again, even when we're in, around customers' yards or end users' yards, we always communicate with them as well.
Sure.
People don't like people in their yards without notifications.
Well, I think, I mean, as far as I know, I didn't hear any negative stuff about the
Good.
project that we have done. And I think that in our conversations, Randy and I were at a meeting in Kearney this last week, and the general feeling towards Glenwood in the state is very positive.
Good.
Everybody's been very happy with the projects that have been done in their county. So.
Good.
Please, we'll definitely take that back to our team and share that with them. But we enjoy what we're doing. Again, that's just, again, our mission at Glenwood to continue providing broadband to people that are in need. Because again, all 53 homes in this particular project and all homes in that previous project, all were able to get under 25 meg of service. So again, these are the unserved. Again, that talk about the category, unserved, underserved. These are all unserved. So,
Do you have any idea how long this money's gonna keep coming? So that you know how long,
good,
plan the next
good question
project?
in regards to that, Commissioner Ott. It does look like this particular grant, the Nebraska Broadband Bridge Grant, this last year was the last year is what it's looking at. Again, that was $20 million set aside for they had 4 rounds of it. Unfortunately, it sounds like the Nebraska Public Service Commission, it is not going to be no longer offered. I don't think the door is completely shut on that yet, but it's looking like that might be that way, unfortunately.
It's unfortunate, that's all we talk about now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then that leads into the next, what my next question was going to be regarding the federal monies that came and are now with the Nebraska broadband. And so is Glenwood, and maybe you can't comment on this at this point, I don't know, but I'm gonna ask the question, you can say no comment, I guess. Will you be looking at bidding on some of those projects in York County possibly?
First of all, Aaron's definitely the expert on this, but I just want to state, right now, the current process is it actually just opened last week, or is it going to just be open?
Last week.
Yes, but the first step for this process is to complete and submit an organizational application. So that has to be submitted and approved by the Nebraska Broadband Office officially. It doesn't guarantee that we're going to bid, but Glenwood is doing that.
Sure.
Yeah, but then in that process, you list kind of the areas that you are interested in. And so then, once we enter that, that gives us the ability, and there are some in York County that we're interested in. So to answer that question that way.
Yeah. And should we pick any of the areas, it will be a 100% fiber.
Any others? Joe, you got anything? The map that we was referring to, and you probably have seen this too.
Yep.
There was something wrong with it yesterday online. I couldn't get it loaded. There was,
Sometimes I think there's just a lot of people looking at it. at the same time.
yeah, because
Kinda
it was showing nothing. But York County is going to be a very busy county, to our knowledge through the meeting. And it was, I can never remember names very well, maybe you could remember it, but it was Patrick Haggerty that was
Yes.
there.
He is,
Yep.
he
At-
is
at the
lead
meeting.
of Nebraska Broadband.
So, to our knowledge, this process is gonna get going here pretty quickly. And, they have 4 years to complete all these projects. There's $400 and some million that the state has to help with these. So it looks like at the end of this, York County should be fairly well covered, whether it's completely by fiber and some fixed wireless. We know that there'll probably be some fixed wireless somewhere, but obviously we already had one group in front of us, you know, last month, Next Link, and there'll be more to come undoubtedly. When you look at, you would think, when you look at this map, that being so close to the areas we're close to, we wouldn't be as bad a shape as some of the the out west. They're in much better shape than we are. And so, yeah, it's kind of exciting, but then it's kind of, we got to really be prepared for it too,
Yes.
with our permitting process and several of these projects we share with our neighbors, with the counties beside us.
Yep.
So it will be interesting. And as we talked beforehand, and I told him exactly what Daniel said, NACO's is giving you a good recommendation, and so we feel like the two projects we've done with you has been very well. And I guess as far as the first project, did you get the goal that you were, I know you go into a project wanting a percentage of people to sign up.
We're really behind on that one. And the only reason for that, again, we've had a lot of feedback working with everybody in those particular areas, but the area around Lake Sax, a lot of those are seasonal homes. By the time we got that particular project completed, late summer, early fall, a lot of people were already making plans to not be there. So definitely excited now for warmer weather to come back around and so forth.
Okay.
So, yeah, so didn't quite hit those numbers, I think just because of a timing thing, but we feel pretty confident that we'll be just fine.
Okay, all right, perfect. I will also, I think we need to look back, this does have a signature on this.
Right.
We need to
yes.
look back at what and how we approved the agreement early on, whether I have the authority to sign this or whether we need to put it back on to grant the authority to
Sure,
sign this
yeah,
again.
yeah, we can
And we'll review our minutes, and Gary, you got a copy of it too, to look at?
I do, yeah.
That's
Okay.
a paper copy.
Yep. So, any other questions this morning?
But as far as your guys' permitting process, Harvey is very easy to work with.
Good.
I think you guys have one of the better processes that I've worked with. So just want to throw that out there.
Well, like Daniel said, I heard nothing. Usually we hear something. With the CO2 line that went through down there, or through our county, I think we heard plenty of different things. Heard nothing when this
Good.
first one took
Glad to
place.
hear
So.
that. Always just saying that we can't guarantee 100% whatever, but we do always back up if there are faux pas here and there and getting those corrected. That is our responsibility.
Okay. Well, seeing as how it was just discussed on here today, we'll look into that and see, and then if not, if we don't feel like it was accurately done back when we did it, then we'll get this back on the agenda to discuss an act,
That sounds
and I'll communicate with you on that.
That sounds great.
Anything else? Thanks for braving the cold and coming and seeing us today.
No problem.
This is Nebraska.
And then you'll get an invoice set up and ready to go then too.
Yeah, we
Okay.
will. But again, I'll send that to you, directly, Mary.
Yes.
Are you, Randy, do you want in on that, or can
No.
I just send it to Mary and she can disperse it accordingly?
Yep.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Have a good day.
Okay, next up, we will try to finish the handbook. If Maddie could not make it this morning, there was a late start in Syracuse where children go to school, and so then, in fact, that was coming in the next 10 minutes. They were gonna go to school, so she will not be able to make it. If for any reason we feel like we absolutely want her here, we can table this one more time, like we did the last time. Andy was not going to be with us today. He had told me he is fine with everything that has taken place, and he was fine with it. So I'll leave it to, I'm good with the changes. I know you had a lot of questions. I'll leave it kind of in your, and Maddie felt bad about, she was on the phone with me at 7 this morning, not being here, but, family is important. and
Yeah, for
Couldn't
sure.
leave the kiddos home by themselves, so.
All right. No, I think that, as far as from my side, I did ask a lot of questions. We did address a lot of those things. Maddie's team took those suggestions that the board had on, mainly it was, a few little verbiage changes here and changing a couple words here and there. I wasn't major changes. She did get that back out to everybody in the changes that she had made. I think everything looked fine. I did have some other thoughts and comments and questions, talked to other people on the board, talked about them, and after those conversations, I'm fine with where we're sitting. We did have input from from all the different departments, and it seems that they were at a point where they were okay with what had been submitted to the board for approval, and so based on all that, I'm fine with where we're at.
Okay. And at the department head meeting last Thursday, it was talked about the rollout of this. I know that one department, the roads department, is going to be, I believe, the 25th. Are going to get together for some meeting, so she's going to be here for that, weather permitting, and then it will be a mandatory. We will ask everybody to be there and look at it and sign off on it, just like we have in the past, so that if this approved today, then that will start rolling out and we'll start to get this done. So, which it has been a little bit of a process. Any other questions regarding the handbook and any of the changes that were made? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the revised York County employee handbook.
Thank you, Daniel.
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Gross,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Odd,
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes. Okay, looks like it passed.
Just like that.
Just like that. Okay, we are to the end of our agenda. Committee reports, the fee reports, just go over them. I'll go down and visit with, because it looks like with the money we have left, we may have to do a transfer coming up.
Into a
General.
couple different funds.
General.
maybe General and
So.
Lori's.
Waiting for, I'll see where Megan is to see what the funds are. But I think we had estimated it was like 350,000 left.
Like 356. And then Lori Byers, 1,300. She won't get another transfer, not a scheduled transfer until,
And she may have some checks coming,
true,
so we'll check with that.
because we just did hers in this month,
Okay.
the last.
Any committee reports? Joe, you got anything?
I just had a meeting tonight for Blue Valley, so,
Blue Valley tonight? Is that Zoom?
yep, Alex is in there.
Okay. Anything else? No? Leroy?
When we had a veterans meeting, Andy also attended it. It discussed mostly Veterans Day, or not Veterans Day, but Government
County
Day.
Government
Day.
County Government Day, and he's trying to line everything up quickly so that, and find out what school's coming and if they're gonna eat or not. And then I attended Region 5 and APACE meetings. Excuse me. But somehow I must ask too many questions or talk too much, if you can believe it or not. But they assigned me to the executive committees for both. And then there was a behavioral health committee that one member of that needed to be on, and they decided I need to do that too. So, just means more meetings. Just like Laura's gonna be fighting, getting cut. I don't know where they're coming up $432 million, the legislature, but that's just the way it is. And so APACE and Region 5 are looking at all the cuts also. They've reorganized several things several times, and they just keep doing it to keep pace with what they're being cut each year. So it was 14.5 million a year ago that they were cut, which made me think, how big's your budget? So that's all I have.
Daniel?
Yes. So Randy and I attended the NACO conference for chair and vice chair last week, so there was good information there. Full range. We've heard about broadband, a lot of legislative updates. Let's see. Joe and I will meet with Tom from SEND on Thursday make a connection there to get him transferred over to that board. And Andy and I have some, looking at some different technologies for some of the mobile capabilities for roads and weeds, and so we have some meetings next week regarding that.
Meetings and meetings.
Mhm.
Yes, it is.
'Tis the season.
Okay, like Daniel said, we did attend that board chair and vice chair workshop put on by NACO. There's always something, you know, and if anything, refresher,
Yep.
you know, of what we may or may not know, and there's always good conversation with others, and we find out that we're not alone. Even though they're, you know, Johnson County and Jefferson County were sitting at our table, and similar. A lot of things are just very similar for us that we have to deal with day in and day out. I do have a visitors tomorrow morning, and then as I stated, Four Corners will meet in our courthouse because of construction and because of the hospital being busy. Offered up our basement room that is a 6:30 at night meeting. It is an open meeting. So the northwest doors of our courthouse will be open, you know, and then we'll just close everything up when we go to leave. There's going to be, I think, a lot of phone calls regarding the broadband stuff. I talked to NACO yesterday about it, and yeah, they're just wanting to make sure that our permitting process is very similar to the counties next to us, and you know, so things are going to flow pretty smooth when this hits, and when it hits, it could be kind of fast and furious. And they told us at the meeting that the reason we have so many different little projects in our county is because they tried to keep them all at 5 million or less, and then that keeps it out of the Davis Beacon headlights on a federal basis. And so then that's why it isn't just one big project, it's a bunch of smaller ones. So exciting for us going forward. I know there's I have a meeting set up to visit with Allison at county court of our budget. You know, we talk about budget even though we pass it, we talk about it year round. The county court one is we got to find some resolutions to that one. So I will be meeting with her, and I don't know if you're busy tomorrow or not, but tomorrow, and try to figure out some stuff there. But other than that, business as usual, I guess, in this cold weather.
Snowy cold weather.
Snowy cold weather. And we think about the family of the officer that was unfortunately killed yesterday out on the interstate. Boy, we got to be careful at all times.
Nope.
Hit by a snowplow of all things, doing his job. It's just hard to believe. So, yes, be careful out there. Anybody have anything else? We're adjourned.